Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're talking about insomnia again, which, of course, is when you have difficulty sleeping, okay? Some people have the opposite problem. I don't know what that's called, but some people...
narcolepsy?
Is that it, when you're constantly falling asleep?
People who just fall asleep? Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, narcolepsy, that's the other problem. But I think insomnia is more common. Sometimes people have difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep or whatever.
Yeah, I don't sleep well. I thought by quitting my job in New York and taking a vacation in Taiwan that it would solve that, but no. I need to find a Dr. Morrison. Yeah.
Or maybe you might consider taking part in an insomnia study, okay? It might help some researchers learn a little bit more about this condition, and maybe they could be able to help you as well. So remember last time, of course, we had a conversation between Dr. Morrison and Tony, and he had come to Dr. Morrison for some help with his insomnia.
Right.
And she suggested that he take part in this study and to do some research. And it looks like he's going to try that. So today we've got this kind of flyer or this kind of information that someone needs to read if they're interested in taking part in this particular study to help them learn more about insomnia and maybe help you out with your own problem as well. So let's jump right in with our lesson right now. Let's read the entire contents of our article and then we'll be back to discuss it. Dear participant, we here at Taiwan Medical College would like your help with a research study. Our team is conducting research on the causes of chronic insomnia, defined as insomnia that occurs regularly for a period of longer than 3 months, in male university students. The study will involve having your sleep monitored for 1 night in a lab setting and discussing your lifestyle and sleep habits with researchers. Our team seeks to identify possible reasons for long-term sleeplessness and find ways to help patients sleep more soundly without the aid of medication. The enclosed brochure will tell you more about the details of this study. Your participation is completely voluntary, so you may withdraw at any time. Your identifying information will not be used in the study. If you would like to participate, please read the brochure and then sign the informed consent letter below. Your participation will contribute greatly to the medical field's understanding of insomnia in your demographic and will allow us to help many people who suffer from sleep disorders. Thank you for your time and participation. Sincerely, Taiwan Medical College Sleep Lab Team. Letter of Informed Consent. I have read the information enclosed in this letter. I have had the opportunity to ask questions about it, and any such questions have been answered to my satisfaction. I hereby agree to the terms of the research and consent to be a participant in it. Participant's name, participant's signature, and date.
Let's dive in, guys. Let's look at the title first. They're seeking or looking for. Notice, guys, if you use this verb seek, you can just seek somebody. But when you look, you have to look for someone. Seeking what? Participants. This is one of our vocabulary words. If you're a participant, you're someone who is involved in something. You're not just watching, or you're not an onlooker or someone in the audience. You're actually involved or participating in something. And of course, we're talking about this insomnia study. Tom explained what insomnia means. If you're someone who suffers from insomnia, we have a name for you. You're an insomniac. Just take off the N-I-A and add an N-I-A-C, insomniac. A person who has trouble either falling asleep or staying asleep. And it can't be just like once a month or, once a year. If you're an insomniac, it's something that's chronic, which means you are always having a hard time sleeping or staying asleep. You're chronically tired or always tired.
Right, so if you want to tell someone that you have this problem, you can say, I suffer from insomnia. I have difficulty sleeping at night, okay? So again, this is kind of a letter that is addressed to someone who might participate in this particular study. So it begins by saying, Dear participant, okay? You're going to be the person who participates or takes part in this study. It says, we here at Taiwan Medical College would like your help with a research study. Okay, so they're coming to the point here directly to tell you exactly what this message is all about. We want you to participate in this study. We would like your help in this study. We would like you to participate, or again, we would like you to be a participant.
That's right. So our team is conducting research. Remember, we learned about the word conduct. We often conduct research, conduct an investigation. Here, they're conducting research on the causes or the reasons for chronic insomnia. Chronic is a word I just used a couple of minutes ago. Chronic just means something that continues on for a long time, and it's always there. It's constantly reoccurring. Some people have chronic headaches. Maybe they're even migraines, which are quite difficult and very painful. Maybe you have a chronic toothache. You haven't gone to the dentist to get that looked at, and your tooth is always hurting. That's a chronic toothache or chronic pain. I have a sister who has chronic pain and has to take painkillers every day just to live. So chronic. Chronic is not a fun word to come across. So chronic insomnia, and then they tell you what that means exactly. In parentheses, they have defined as insomnia that occurs regularly for a period of longer than 3 months. So again, it can't just happen once or twice. It has to be something that reoccurs.
Yeah, every once in a while, of course, we have difficulty sleeping because maybe we're worried about something. I just lost my job. Am I going to be able to find a new job? Or I just did terribly on a test and my parents are upset or something like that. Or maybe I'm being bullied in school or something. Yeah, you may lose sleep over those things, but we're talking about a condition that lasts for longer than 3 months, and maybe there is no real obvious cause for this insomnia. And again, specifically, we're talking about male university students, okay? They want to focus on this particular sector of the population. University students who are male. Maybe they'll conduct a study for the girls later on.
They may. So the study will involve having your sleep monitored for 1 night in a lab setting. So remember, if they monitor you, they track something. They're watching you closely to see how your body reacts to different things. They're looking at your breathing, your heart rate, the brain waves in your brain. They'll look at that too. It's very interesting. I found it hard to sleep in a lab. That was even weirder because you're in a place that you're not comfortable in, really. And you've got people watching you. I can't sleep like that anyway. So, yeah, but that's what it's like. And they're going to be discussing your lifestyle with you. So you need to talk to them about your life and, you know, what might bring these on or bring on insomnia, your sleeping habits, you know, how you go to sleep. Some people go to sleep with their TVs on. I used to do that. And some people I still do this because I can't fall asleep either. I'll listen to podcasts on my phone that's next to my pillow. I'm sure that doesn't help. But there are certain voices that are boring to me, and then I can go to sleep.
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time. If I'm having trouble sleeping, I just turn on my Chinese lessons. And, you know, I try to focus on it and concentrate, and that just makes me exhausted. And then I just go to sleep like a little baby.
I've tried that too, yeah.
And it works, especially if you're trying to study a foreign language. Maybe you could try listening to English.
Sure.
If you want to fall asleep fast. But it goes on here to say, our team seeks to identify possible reasons for long-term sleeplessness and find ways to help patients sleep more soundly without the aid of medication. So this is their goal. They want to identify the reasons for long-term sleeplessness. In other words, they want to find the cause for insomnia here. And, of course, they want to find some ways to help you sleep better in the future without giving you pills and stuff like that, without giving you a prescription for medication. Maybe you could try some exercises or something like that, or listening to certain kinds of music, who knows. And it goes on to say the enclosed brochure will tell you more about the details of this study. So this is probably mailed out as a letter. It could actually be an email or something, because these things could be enclosed with the email as an attachment or something like that. So enclosed just means it's inside the envelope with this letter.
Right. If it is an email, I think it's a little better to actually write the attached document or the attached brochure. Will tell you more about the details. Notice in that sentence just ahead of enclosed, it says without the aid of medication. Again, you can simply switch out medication and put medicine there. So without the aid of medicine. So enclosed also means an area that is fenced in. Maybe it's surrounded by a fence. There's an enclosure on some farms where maybe sheep are, or pigs, or even chickens. But here they're attaching some brochure to this particular pamphlet, I would say. Now, moving on to the next paragraph, it says your participation is completely voluntary. If something's voluntary, it means you get to choose of your own free will whether you want to do something. You're not forced into doing it. You volunteer. You say you're willing to do something. And if you volunteer for something, you could also call yourself a volunteer. Voluntary is the adjective form of the noun volunteer. Volunteer is both, though, a noun and a verb, and it's pronounced the same. Yay.
Right, so I guess you don't get paid for this. So you're a volunteer in this particular survey, and you can pull out at any time. You can withdraw at any time. So yeah, withdraw here just means to pull yourself out of something, to stop participating in something. You, of course, can withdraw money from your bank account if you want to buy yourself a new car or something like that, or a new motorcycle or a house or whatever. Yes, take out the money, withdraw the money from your account, and of course you can pull out of this particular survey or the study at any time if you don't feel comfortable, or if you think they're learning too much about you or whatever. So your identifying information will not be used in the study. So if you withdraw, if you pull out, then we won't use any information that we got from you in the study. That probably would be illegal.
I think they mean whether you withdraw or not. They're never going to put your name in the study, or maybe your social security number. Here it's the 身份证, or your ID number. I'm sure they want to put your age down because that's important. But, that's kind of comforting that, if you want to keep your identification private, or you don't want other people knowing you're in this study, they're not going to find out. So I wanted to mention with withdraw, this verb, you can also use it to talk about, withdrawing from a class in school, or maybe you had started university and you're having some troubles at home, or your parents need you and you have to suddenly withdraw. We use that verb for that as well. So, yeah, your participation is voluntary. They're not going to force you. So if you would like to participate, it says, please read the brochure. A brochure is a very thin booklet, you could call it. We also refer to brochures as pamphlets, P-A-M-P-H-L-E-T, pamphlet, which is a weird word, I know, or brochure, but it's more than just one page. And you must also sign the informed consent letter below, which means you are telling legal authorities that you're willing to do this, and even if there are problems, maybe there's some medical emergency that happens while you're in the study. You are not going to sue the hospital or the research lab for any problems that they have. You usually sign these for any serious medical treatment, especially for surgery.
Yep, so we've got a consent letter here below. It's giving your permission. Sometimes maybe if you're a musician or something, like if you're Lin Chang or whatever, and your song about going to Taipei or something is used at a political rally, and you don't like that, you don't support that party, so you could say, hey, stop playing my song at your political rallies. You do not have my consent.
Right.
You do not have my permission, so don't do that. So he might say that, who knows? But in any case here, you are trying to give your consent in this form here. It's a letter, and your participation, of course, will contribute greatly to the medical field's understanding of insomnia in your demographic. So if we talk about demographics, we're talking about the general characteristics of the population, especially sectors of the population, like the age of people, the gender, the races, and stuff like that, demographics. So in this particular case, the demographic is college-age males, okay? But there are other demographics. You could be like seniors above the age of 65 or people under the age of 10. You get the idea.
Yeah, sometimes they will have sectors based on how much money you earn each year or your education level. There are lots of different demographics that they use for these research studies. So they go ahead and they thank this person for their time and participation, but you must sign if you want to participate. If you don't sign, you cannot participate. So it's kind of some legal language when they say, I hereby agree. We never use hereby if we're just speaking English, but you'll often see it in legal forms and legal language. I hereby agree to the terms of the research and consent. Consent, as Tom said, just means to agree to something, to give somebody permission. You're giving them permission to go ahead and use you as we call a guinea pig. If you're a guinea pig, it just means you're being used to study something because a lot of these scientific experiments are done on guinea pigs before they're given to human beings.
Okay, so yes, you're going to sign this form, giving your permission, giving your consent, and of course you're going to write your name, and then you're going to sign it here. You're going to give them your signature. This is not your autograph. That's what your favorite celebrity will give you if you want them to sign their name on their picture. That is an autograph. But here it's your signature, and maybe in Taiwan you might give them your chop or something like that. And then, of course, you have to date it as well. Give the year, the month, and the day. I don't think you have to give the day of the week, though. That's not necessary. So that brings us to the end of our article for today. Right now, of course, before we go on with our discussion questions, we'd like to hear from our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天看了 Tony 跟 Dr. Morrison 的讨论，总而言之呢 Tony 就是要参与一项失眠的研究，所以我们今天来看一下这封研究邀请函长什么样子呢？在我们的 title 当中啊，看到两个很重要的字，第一个字叫做 participant， 这个字它的动词原形是 participate， P-A-R-T-I-C-I-P-A-T-E， 通常我们都会说参与某个活动 participate in something， 所以 participant 当然指的就是参与者的意思。后面呢有一个很重要的 insomnia 其实就是在医学专业词当中所谓失眠的意思。那么当然一开始要先说明自己是谁，然后要做什么，所以在第一句话当中呢就介绍了自己是台湾医疗大学，需要您这个 participant 的协助来完成一项实验。那么这个实验到底要做什么呢？在第二句话当中就说得很清楚了，这个团队啊其实正在进行一项针对男性大学生长期失眠的研究，不过所谓的长期失眠定义是要为期3个月以上经常性的失眠。我们来看一下这个第一段的第二句的地方，首先我们看到 chronic insomnia，所谓的长期失眠，这个 chronic 本来有慢性的意思，所以 insomnia 不是偶尔一次哦，而是慢性长期的。那么这样子的一个所谓长期失眠会被定义是什么呢？ Define as 后面加上真正的意思。它定义的是 insomnia 失眠，但是又包含了关系子句 that 一直到句尾的地方，我们可以左右括号起来。这种失眠 occurs 会发生 regularly 是规律性的，而且超过3个月。好，那么对象呢，一定是要有长期失眠，而且一定是男性的大学生。所以第3句还特别有提到，研究会包含在实验室环境下监测睡眠，并且跟研究人员讨论生活方式跟睡眠习惯。我们来注意这个第3句的地方，请注意动词的 involve 在这里还是 contain 包含的意思哦。而这里后面有2个受词，第一个是 having 这个受词到逗点，第二个受词是 and 之后的 discussing 到句尾的地方。不过要特别注意一下，第一个这个 having， 这里的 have 是使役动词，使什么什么如何如何，所以请你把 have 也就是 having 这个动词形态后面的 monitored 被监测这个 PP 做一个连结， have your sleep monitored 让你的睡眠被监控。只不过这里的使役动词受到前面 involve 的影响，换成动词 ing 型。好，所以接着呢，团队就特别说明说，是为了要找出失眠的可能原因，并且要帮助病患。当然也有附上一些小册子，能够告诉参与者研究更多的细节。所以接下来我们就来看到第2段咯。第2段特别告诉可能的参与者，您的参与是完全自愿的，而且随时都可以 withdraw， 随时都可以退出。然后有一些识别资讯例如什么这个性别年纪等等，这些比较个资类的东西 identifying information 就不会用在研究当中。所以如果要参与研究的话，就可以阅读小册子，并且在下方我们待会会看有一个同意书 consent letter， 只要签名之后呢，就表示同意参与研究。当然最后还是会感谢一下参与者，所以后面我们看到的您的参与将大大增进医疗领域 the medical field 对您这个族群，也就是男性大学生这个 demographic。 我们来看一下这里的 demographic 在第2段第4句当中的这个 demographic。 那么它的字源其实是因为 demography DEMOGRAPHY 它是人口学的意思，所以如果有相似条件的一群人，比如说我们在这里的研究对象是男性的大学生，而且有长期失眠问题，那么它就被归在同一个族群当中，所以才会用 demographic 这个字。不过在同样这句话当中，最后面有一个关系子句，我们可以把最后面的 who 到句尾的地方左右括号，先行词是前面的 many people， 那么关系词是 who， 所以中间的 suffer from something 因什么什么而痛苦，这里特别可以画起来。所以如果说可以参与的话呢，您这个族群在失眠上的理解，这样子的一个帮助，就可以帮助更多患有睡眠障碍的人士咯。那么最后当然在信结尾的地方会有一个结尾语，我们看到的是 sincerely， 有时候还会看到 best regards、best wishes 或者是 yours truly， 这样子才是比较完整的一个书信。那么最后如果愿意参与的话呢，会有一个知情同意书。我们来看一下同意这个字叫做 consent CONSENT， 它出现在知情同意书的标题以及段落最后面的地方。那么它本身是动名词同一个字，就表示同意 agree 的意思。它的用法是 consent to do something 或者是 consent to something。当然最后呢，如果你愿意这个参与的话呢，要签名。最后这个参与者的签名 signature 是个人的签名哦。如果你今天跟喜欢的偶像要到了偶像的签名，那个名人的签名会用另外一个字叫做 autograph AUTOGRAPH autograph。 以上是我们的今天的课程，我是安娜，我们明天见咯。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. welcome back, guys. As we always do, we have some discussion questions at the end of day 2. Here's the first question, Tom. I'll ask you. Would you ever participate in a medical research trial? Why or why not?
I probably would not, unless I had some kind of condition that I had difficulty figuring out. If it was something that I had been to see doctors about many times and they could not tell me what's wrong with me. So, yeah, if they had some kind of medical research about such a condition, yes, I would volunteer for some research because, hey, I might benefit from that. I might find out. But in other words, though, I don't think I would participate in any medical research unless they paid me for it. And I don't really want to spend the night in the hospital. They always say there's lots of viruses and bacteria in those places like that. So I wouldn't want to spend any more time in a hospital than I need to. But again, I've got a lot of respect for doctors and nurses who spend all day at the hospital. They are making sacrifices for us. How about you?
It would depend. I think the only time I would really want to be involved in some of these clinical trials is what we call them, when they're testing new drugs or different treatments that are brand new. They have to test these things for several years before they get permission to use them. For example, there's no way I would have been in these clinical trials for the COVID-19 vaccine. That's crazy. You know, why would you take that? I used to work for Pfizer, which is a pharmaceutical company. It's the largest one in the world. And I worked a lot on these clinical trials. And they had this one category, Tom, that was called adverse events. Adverse means bad or things you don't want to happen. And that usually meant someone died in that clinical trial. So I'm grateful for people who are willing to do it. If I had some type of cancer that looked like there was nothing that would help me and save my life, then I would consider some of these new drugs.
Like as a last resort.
Last resort.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And here's the other question we have. Why do researchers require informed consent from participants before doing studies, and what could happen if they didn't have it?
Oh, these are important, guys. You pretty much sign these forms that say if anything bad happens, you can't sue the hospital, you can't sue the scientists or the researchers. You just have to accept that bad things happen. So be sure before you do any of these things that you're able to accept any sort of bad results or, as we say, adverse events that happen. They have to do it for legal reasons. Otherwise, a lot of people would sue the doctors and the hospitals, and it gets quite expensive.
Okay, so you could have these discussions yourselves in your classes or at home. So, yeah, maybe you will come up with some interesting answers that we would be interested in hearing about. So that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time. Hopefully you do not suffer from insomnia. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.